بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Chapter 17 says باب في الممسك والممسك. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ما من يوم يصبح العباد فيه إلا ملكان ينزلان فيقول أحدهما اللهم أعطي ممسكا خلفا ويقول الآخر اللهم أعطي ممسكا تلفا. Chapter 17 is about one who spends and one who is a miser. One who spends and one who is a miser. Hadith 591, coming up on the 600 hadith echelon, is narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet ﷺ said, every day two angels come down, and one of them says, "O Allah, compensate every person who spends in your cause." And the other says, "O Allah, destroy every miser. Destroy every miser." There isn't anything which is totally brand new in this chapter as a concept or a reality or an idea. The recommendation, the preference, and the encouragement to spend your wealth in the cause of Allah. We've taken many chapters regarding that. But what is new or different here is the specific reward and the specific angle and aspect of giving this infaq, spending in the cause of Allah, and that is obtaining the dua of the malaikatul kiram. The great angels, the noble angels, the pure blessed angels, obtaining their supplication, them making dua for you, bi'idhnillah, and by the permission of Allah. So that is a specific virtue of sadaqah. So if you were asked to give a fundraiser, or if you were asked to give a talk, a khutbah, a speech on a Sunday school, a madrasa, a duqsi, if you were asked to speak at a summer camp, and they wanted you to speak on charity and being generous with your wealth, without any preparation or studying or let me go back and rehearse, you would automatically have the ability to say, I advise you, just like I advise myself, to give charity, because one of the blessings of charity is the angels, those who carry the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal, those who have a status with Allah, those who praise Him, who supplicate to Him, who worship Him, who never become tired, who never become exhausted, those who never disobey Him, etc., 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 etc. About the malaika, they will pray for those who give sadaqah and those who make nafaqah, those who spend the cause of Allah. So one of the virtues of sadaqah, you have a paper to write on 10 virtues of sadaqah. Sadaqah removes this, sadaqah does that, sadaqah causes this, sadaqah blesses the wealth. And number 5 is sadaqah is a means of getting the dua of the what? Of the angels. And who are the angels? And what's so special about having them making dua for you? And how the humans always love people to pray for them. Muslim and non-Muslim. Muslim and non-Muslim, not just Muslim. Humans love other people that they believe and think and feel and know are more pious and closer to God or the gods than they are. It's a human reality. Everyone understand this? Christian or Catholic, specifically a Catholic, say, Father, I've sinned. Pray for me. Can't you get on your knees and call upon your Heavenly Father yourself? But they say they go to what? To the Father, quote unquote. And they want Him to pray to the Heavenly Father in the sky, according to what they believe. Everyone understand this? Everybody clear on this? If a person was a Buddhist, there lies no doubt the abbot of the temple, the abbess of the temple, the head monk, they want them to pray and them to recite the sutras and then to light the incense and light the candles and make the hums and recite their sacred prayer. So this is just how it goes. Everyone understand this? And the same applies to what? Muslims as well. First thing the brother says to you when you're telling him you're going on a trip, he says what? Make dua for me. Now bring me some back. What interesting foods did you have? Make dua for me. I'm going through something. What? Make dua for me. My wife is sick. Make dua for me. Everyone understand this? My daughter is sick. Make dua for me. That's what the Muslims love to say. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But the point is, if you love for a human who you think is righteous, or you know the hadith about those whom their dua is not rejected. ثلاثة أو ثلاث دعوات لا ترد. ثلاثة لا ترد دعوتهم. 3 people whom their dua is never rejected. 3 supplications that are never rejected. And from them, as it states in some narrations, da'watul musafir, is he who's traveling. Naam? Da'watul madlum, etc. So therefore, people love for those coming or going to a trip to pray for them, make dua for them. And that's because they know, they think, they feel, they believe that that dua is what? Most acceptable to being accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if that's the case of a human who could be put on a show, right? Could be put on the front, who really may not be that pious in real life. Or he is pious, but every now and then he falls into a flaw, a mistake, an error, a shortcoming, a bad habit, an old addiction, whatever it may be, right? What do you think about someone that never disobeys Allah? La yasun Allah. They never ever commit mutiny against Allah, ever. They'll pray for you. That's tremendous. That's what? No doubt about that. And if there were no other virtues of sadaqah besides that, that would be enough. Okay? So that's what this chapter is speaking on. As far as the fada'il of this hadith, or the masail of this hadith, or the fawaid, or the ahkam, the rulings of this hadith, and first and foremost, this hadith shows us is that the asl, the default, is that people should work in the daytime and sleep at night. Is that humans should not be nocturnal if they don't have to be. Sometimes they have no choice. Insomnia, apnea, you have to work. It's the best job that you can get. Working a graveyard shift. Less women, less kuffar. You don't have to deal with the haram, pork and riba and swine. You have a good job as a Muslim, but it's what? At nighttime. Sometimes it's the best that you can do. Whether he's working on the trains, on the ground, some brothers do in New York City. Whether you work security, whatever you do, what? At night. And you have to sleep in the daytime. Tayyib. But if that's not the case, then Allah Azza wa Jal, He says, وَجَعَلْنَا, or we've made the what? النَّهَارَ ma'ashan. Is that's the time of ma'ash, of seeking the what? The aish, seeking the life, seeking the sustenance, seeking the bounty, okay? So therefore the hadith says, yusbihu, when the servants wake up in the morning. So the asr is that humans should sleep at night and be up what? In the daytime. Another fa'idah, this hadith affirms the existence of the angels. And it affirms that the angels speak. And it affirms that the angels are actual beings. This hadith also affirms the highness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It shows us that Allah is the most lofty, the most high. Whereas the angels come down, they descend. This hadith also goes to show that the angels are not to be worshipped besides Allah. أَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَرْضَى أَنْ يُشْرَكَ مَعَهُ أَحَدٌ لَا مَلَكٌ مُقَرَّبٌ وَلَا نَبِيٌّ مُرْسَلٌ. No one gets any portion of worship, no matter how high or lofty their status be with Allah. May be. Everyone understand this? And this obviously is the core essence of Tawheed and of Islam. The core. This is the dead smack center, the middle. Is wahdahu la sharika lahu. No partners. And the proof of that from this hadith is that the angels themselves do what? They're praying. The angels, they what? They pray. So if they pray to someone, isn't it easier and faster for you to just pray to that same one as well? Cut out the middlemen, the mediums. Let alone the fact that to realize that they do not deserve ibadah. Because they themselves are what? Ibadun amthalukum. They are slaves like you are slaves. So that's the core essence of Tawheed. Naam. Tayyib. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, or before we go to what Nawawi says, this hadith also shows us, not only does it show us the virtue of sadaqah, the virtue of infaq, but also shows us the dispraise of stinginess. Wa alaikum salam. The dispraise of stinginess, of being a miser, of being a tightwad. Naam. Tayyib. Some brothers you travel with in the airport, naam, you see the true stinginess come out. When it's time to buy the coffee. When it's time to buy the Danish. Naam. You say, Akhi, we're in the airport. Can we
It's a gift for you, brother.
Jazakallah khairan.
Make sure
Thank
I'm
you.
not stingy here.
Jazakallah khairan. You go with some brothers in the airport, some brothers. And you see a sushi restaurant, call it. Huh? Not too often. Not a little couple of trays, no, an actual what? Sushi restaurant, like a legit with a chef there in. So let's stop and get some fresh halal tayyib foods. And he says, no, akhi, we gotta go. I don't know, I don't trust that. We gotta get on a flight. So, and the other brothers you may go and you see the true what? The karam, generosity. Tayyib. So not only is it virtuous to be generous, but it's also what? Blameworthy to be what? To be a miser. To have short arms with what? Deep pockets, as the poet said. Tayyib, moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, قال العلماء هذا في الإنفاق في الطاعات ومكارم الأخلاق وعلى العيال والضيفات أو قال والضيفان والصدقات ونحو ذلك بحيث لا يضم ولا يسمى صرفا والإمساك المذموم هو الإمساك عن هذا. He says that the ulama say that this infaq, this spending, what's meant by this hadith is spending on acts of obedience and spending upon akhlaq, the virtuous character to have, such as being what? Generous. Upon one's family, he says, وَعَلَى الْعِيَالِ, your family. You have any money to spend, let it be spent first on your family, your wife and your children first, before a stranger. وَالضَّيْفَانِ, and your guests. Do not be stingy to your guests, as many of us are, unfortunately, and there are different levels of this. And the more you travel and the more places you go, you realize and you can feel the different levels of generosity and stinginess, even with a little bit of money. It has nothing to do with how much money you have. No. Abadan. That's a misconception. You can have beans and bread, water and dates, and you can feel the what? Tafaddal. My dates or your dates. Eat as much as you like. This is my bed. Everyone understand this? You go over someone's house. These are my children. This is the guest. You feel honored. Whether you have an entire lamb on a plate or platter, a leg shank, or dates and water. Everyone understand this? Unfortunately, you feel that when the person feels irritated and bothered by you being a guest. Irritated and bothered. And of course, that's unfortunate if you travel thousands of miles, or you go through different time zones, or you're in a different continent. And they invite you there, and then they have the feeling of they're bothered and aggravated by you being a guest for a basic, simple need. It's a huge problem. As we have explained before, from the kalam of the Mukhtasar Minhaj al-Qasidin, from Ihya Ulumuddin, obviously, those ulama, al-Ghazali, al-Maqdisi, those ulama who said that isn't the best etiquette to ask your guest for something. In most cases, you shouldn't necessarily ask your guest, but do it yourself and provide it yourself. Instead of asking your guest, if he's thirsty, you just give him something to drink. And if he doesn't drink coffee, then you offer him something else. Instead of asking, say, are you hungry? We're driving to the restaurant. Oh, I'm allergic to shrimp. No problem. We go to another place. Mathalan. Everyone understand this? How can I make your stay more comfortable? Instead of asking, is there anything that you need? Because if there's something that I need, you shouldn't have to ask about. You shouldn't have to ask about that. Everyone understand this? If you take your guest to a hotel room, you shouldn't say, do you need a prayer rug? You know they're going to need a prayer rug. Making the recommended prayers, or they're too far from the masjid, you know that already. You know they need to know the direction of the qibla. You know that. So you shouldn't have to ask for that. So I provided the basic necessary things. Now let me find out making it more comfortable. You know that the room is cold, right? You should go and check the what? Check the room ahead of time. Before your guest comes in the room, make sure that the window is not open and it's not freezing cold. And not, how is, you guys need something? You know that they need something. Everyone understand this? So you have to be mindful of this, of being generous and kind to one's guests. And that does not mean you have to have a lot of money. Doesn't mean that. If you do have more money, then alhamdulillah. You spend on your guests, you make your guests feel welcomed. He says, was-sadaqat. And another concept is, and this is advice, this is very important advice, with regards to a dawah trip. Everything doesn't always have to be at a restaurant, in which the bills add up, no doubt. And it's a lot of money. You may not have that type of money, but you can invite that person in your house. And you don't have money for lamb and goat and rice and this and that. You may not have that. But there lies no doubt you feel more welcomed and you're eating what they're eating. This is what I eat every night. I have squash and pumpkin. Bismillah, tafaddal. There's nothing wrong with that. You understand it? So that's just my advice. And I remember once it was a video I was watching, also an article I was reading by some other speakers, different, traveling sheikhs and resident scholars and things like this, da'is and things. And they were just talking about their experiences traveling in different countries and different masjids and their do's and don'ts. And one of the do's and don'ts mentioned by one brother was, he said, every meal should not be at a restaurant, just like every meal should not be at someone's home. People have certain dietary preferences, allergies, spicy, certain things you just can't take. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that it always has to be fast and at a restaurant and bringing someone to your home. Or if you have 3 meals out the day, we have breakfast at the hotel, lunch is at the restaurant, and dinner at the house. Or even better than that, I have a very small apartment. My apartment isn't suitable, my house isn't suitable, no problem. But you can at least come on my porch, we can have tea and coffee. Methanin. So mix things up to show your guest that he or she is what? Respected and honored. Whatever that may be. Ice cream, bakery at night, whatever your what? Mode of ikram may be. According to your what? According to your means. It then says, and this is not considered to be extravagance. This is not extravagance. He says rather, what imsakul madmum, and what's meant by holding back is holding back from those things. So it shows once more is that it doesn't mean that you don't save money. And it doesn't mean that you don't invest certain things and have certain things. But you do have a guest now. You have a wife and children now. Everyone understand this? You have a needy Muslim in the masjid now. Now you do hold back now that is the angels making what? Dua against you. Waliyadhu billah. Alright, let's move forward to the next hadith. Now we are back to the author, Muhammad Fuad Abdul Baqi. He says, باب في الترغيب في الصدقة قبل أن لا يوجد من يقبلها. حديث حارثة بن وهب رضي الله عنه قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول تصدقوا فإنه يأتي عليكم زمان يمشي الرجل بصدقته فلا يجد من يقبلها فيقول الرجل لو جئت بها بالأمس لقبلتها فأما اليوم فلا حاجة لي بها. حديث أبي موسى رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال ليأتين على الناس زمان يطوف الرجل فيه بالصدقة من الذهب ثم لا يجد أحدا يأخذها منه ويرى الرجل الواحد يتبعه 40 امرأة يلذن به من قلة الرجال وكثرة النساء. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تقوم الساعة حتى يكثر فيكم المال فيفيض حتى يهم رب المال من يقبل صدقته حتى يعرضه فيقول الذي يعرضه عليه لا عرب لي. It says exhortation to give charity before such time comes when nobody will accept it. Narrated Haditha ibn Wahab, Hadith 592. I heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, O people, give in charity, as a time will come upon you when a person will wonder about with his object of charity and will not find anyone to accept it. And one will say, if you had brought it yesterday, I would have taken it, but today I am not in need of it. Hadith 593 is narrated by Abu Musa radiyallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, a time will come upon the people when a person will wander about with his gold as zakah and will not find anyone to accept it or anybody to accept it. And one man will be seen followed by 40 women to be their guardian because of scarcity of men and great number of women. Hadith 594 is narrated by Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will not be established till your wealth increases so much so that one will be worried, for no one will accept his zakah and the person to whom he will give it. And the person to whom he will give it will reply, I am not in need of it. So this chapter heading is teaching us another ruling of zakah and of sadaqah, and another ruling, another piece of etiquette of spending in Allah's cause, and that is being on time, right place, and not holding back until a time or a place in which there is no need for which you wish to give. money, and of course anything else that's included in this. Ilm, perfect example. Don't seek knowledge when there's no need, or teach when there's no need. Now is the critical time. The same applies to brothers who are tough guys, or so-called tough guys. There's no point in you being tough, and there's no need for it. But there are times and places in which tough Muslims are needed, and you're nowhere to be found. Everyone understand this? You're nowhere to be found. So give the sadaqah when there's a need for it. Give the sadaqah when the people want it, and the people will accept it. And do not waste your time. Khairan. Narration of Haritha ibn Wahab, the hadith of Abu Musa, and the hadith of Abu Hurairah all prove the same thing. That towards the end of time, there will be abundant wealth. And the poor people, and those who are needy, and those who are destitute, will be very, very scarce. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, وفي هذا الحديث والأحاديث بعده مما ورد في كثرة المال في آخر الزمان وأن الإنسان لا يجد من يقبل صدقته الحث على المبادرة بالصدقة واغتنام إمكانها قبل تعذرها وقد صرح بهذا المعنى بقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم في أول الحديث تصدقوا فيوشك الرجل إلى آخره وسبب عدم قبولهم الصدقة في آخر الزمان لكثرة الأموال وظهور كنوز الأرض ووضع البركات فيها كما ثبت في الصحيح بعد هلاك يأجوج ومأجوج وقلة آمالهم وقرب الساعة وعدم ادخارهم المال وكثرة الصدقات والله أعلم. He says these hadiths prove is that it is highly recommended, or he says these hadiths talk about so much money towards the end of time and that no one will accept the charity towards the end of time. These hadiths prove that you should rush to give your sadaqah. And you should take advantage of the needy people before there aren't so many needy people. Tayyib. He says, and the reason why they won't accept sadaqah towards the end of time is because there's so much abundant wealth. Kathratul amwal. Everywhere you look, it's going to be money, money, money. وَظُهُورِ كُنُوزِ الْأَرْضِ. And there's going to be so many treasures that pour forth from the belly of the earth. Things that are buried, things that are hidden, things that are unknown, things that are hoarded will become open and available. And there will be all types of barakat, he says. Blessings, agriculture, water, the atmosphere, this and that. Everyone says all types of what? Barakat. He then says, rahimahullah ta'ala, as it is authentically reported after the destruction of Ya'juj and what? Ma'juj. Tayyib. To the end of the kalam of An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala. Khairan, inshallah. Moving forward. He says, وَمَعْنَا يَلُذْنَ بِهِ أي ينتمين إليه ليقوم بحوائجهن ويذب عنهن كقبيلة بقي من رجالها واحد فقط وبقيت نساؤها فيلوذن بذلك الرجل ليذب عنهن ويقوم بحوائجهن ولا يطمع فيهن أحد بسببه وأما سبب قلة الرجال وكثرة النساء فهو الحروب والقتال الذي يقع في آخر الزمان وتراكم الملاحم كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم ويكثر الهرج أي القتل. He says, why will there be 40 women following a man? What's meant by these 40 women? Yaludhna. He says they will ascribe themselves to this man. They'll be followers of this man. Like a tribe. Like he's the sheikh of the tribe, the leader of the family, the clan. And that's because the men are all dead and gone. They've perished. They're extinct. All right? Okay, so he says that this man will protect these women, look after those women, take care of those women, etc. And no one will have the gall to try to do something to them or oppress them or violate them. Why will there be so many women and so little men? It's because there will be abundant warfare towards the end of time. There'll be a lot of war, a lot of fighting, a lot of killing, and many women will become widows, etc. Many women, they will be the remaining, and the men will perish. Towards the end of time, the malahim, the things that will take place. Khairan insha'Allah. We'll stop here tonight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.